It's nice to meet you.
Hi. So nice to meet you as well.
It's so nice to meet you. Thank you so much for doing this. I'm so excited.
Oh, me too.
Oh
Me
my
too.
gosh. I am here with one of our absolutely lovely and inspiring patients, Ainslee. Ainslee, thank you so much for being here today. I'm excited to chat.
Thank you for having me. I am so excited to be here.
So I know we're going to dig into like you're not only a patient of Modern Thyroid Clinic, you also are a participant of our weight loss program and are such an example of how those two things synergistically work so well together. I kind of wanted to open up this conversation. You have been at Modern Thyroid Clinic for almost a year to the day. Like literally, I think your 1 year anniversary was this last week. I love it.
Right.
And you've been in our weight loss program for about the last 6 months. I kind of wanted you to tell me a little bit about what life looked like for you a year ago before making the transition to coming to see us.
Well, my life was very different a year ago. Before I came to Modern Thyroid Clinic, I was just looking recently, had photos arise in my memories, and I was thinking, well, we were about to go on a family vacation that we take every year. We were gearing up for that. Physical walking involved in family vacations. We go to Colorado and enjoy our time there, and we're out and about a lot. And a lot of things were more difficult for me, just physically, just getting around, not having energy. And comparative to now, it's like a different life. I feel like I'm not trying to be hyperbolic, but I do feel like a different person completely. Coming to Modern Thyroid and getting on the thyroid treatment was absolutely life changing.
What do you feel like before coming to see us were the main barriers that kept you from being able to live the life that you envisioned that you deserve? What do you feel like those were, if you can think of any?
The main things that I felt just day to day before were that I used to say to my husband often, I can do one thing a day. That was how I lived my life. And I've accomplished a lot in my life, and especially in the last 5 years span of time. However, just day to day energy, I felt like I could do one thing. I could either do something with my family or go to work or, do something else. I would study or whatever I was doing in my off time, but I could only pick one main activity a day because that's how long my energy would last. And through that, just feeling really beat down every day, really drained every day. And now I can do all the things.
Yeah.
Now I can do as many things as I want to do in a day.
And I think too, what so many people don't realize, like in that haze of survival, is not only do they only get to pick one thing to do every day, they don't get to enjoy any of the things. Like it's almost like this hierarchy of needs. You're just surviving, surviving, surviving. You miss out, especially for women, on like years of family time. That's really a huge part of our quality of life. And in our life, it's some of our most important years. And so many women are just surviving, getting through every day, not being able to find the joy in it all, right?
I would completely agree. And I think that is common for a lot of women that we're not enjoying our day to day. We're not enjoying our family. I have an amazing husband who I love to spend time with, and I have amazing kids, and we have this great big blended family. And not being able to, at the end of the day, have the energy to watch Netflix shows with my husband, sit around, talk to the kids extendedly into the evening, following up on everything with them. Our kids are older. I can't imagine feeling like this with young kids, but I know that's a reality for so many women. And this has just completely changed that. Now I am up and about and I am full of energy. I can work a hard day and I'm still tired at the end of a hard day, but it's a normal tired. It's not the completely, I think that's what people don't understand as you say fatigue, and people think, oh, you feel a little tired. No, you feel bone tired. You feel
unplugged.
completely wiped out. You have no mental bandwidth left. You have no emotional energy. And it's just very defeating to live that way day to day. And I feel like it has a really negative effect on our mental health just as a whole. Even more specifically for myself, I felt like I was getting depressed. It turns out, no.
You had a thyroid problem.
I had a thyroid problem. Yes.
It's so true. And then I find like the anxiety component that goes along with it too, I find so much correlates around people, women, not knowing if they're going to have the energy that they need to have to get through their day. So like they're constantly chronically anxious about, oh my God, well, if I go out to dinner with my husband today, am I going to be completely wiped for work tomorrow? Or, oh, my kids have this thing this weekend. I need to rest enough to prepare for it. And am I going to be able to rest enough after it? Like there's so much of our bandwidth wrapped up in that idea.
I completely agree. And you really nailed it with that on the anxiety part. I defined myself as having anxiety. I'm a type A, I'm an overachiever, I'm all those things. But I was also just completely in fight or flight mode, is what it felt like day to day. And I always attributed that to other circumstances or my own, or I would assign character failure on my own part, that I wasn't living up or I wasn't doing enough. And my husband would say, I would check in with him and he would be like, have you lost your mind? Look at how much you do. Like you do so much. But I never gave myself the credit for what I had accomplished. I couldn't. The anxiety kept saying, you're not enough.
Not
You're
enough.
not doing enough. You've got to do more. And I would just be tense all the time. And that also feeds into that enjoyment. And that was one of the things that Lori had told me upon, I think, one of my first meetings, or Sally or someone had told me right at the beginning of my time at MTC that my anxiety would go away. And I thought, that's sweet. Probably, I thought that's a lofty goal, but if it helps a little bit, and I remember relaying that even to my husband that, maybe it'll help some anxiety. When I tell you I'm no longer an anxious person, do I get anxious from time to time? Yes. Again, just as day-to-day normal life as normal humans, that is what happens. But it is not a way of life. I don't wake up anxious and feel anxious and keyed up all day long. And your mind just goes on a constant feedback loop. And it's a miserable way to live. But when you're in it, it's very hard to see the difference. But that was one of the first things that happened within a few months of my treatment. And I felt like I had been set free, delivered. I
I
thought,
bet.
what is in this medicine bottle? This tiny little pill that I take twice a day. That's all I have to do.
Right.
And I have freedom. So it has, another part that's been life-changing.
It's so interesting too, because I think, people get this idea that they need to do everything perfect and do all these things and live their whole life, revolve their whole life around their health in order to get their lives back. But I'm like, listen, we just start with the basic at Modern Thyroid Clinic. We don't really ask you to do a lot of hard things in the beginning. We just want to do the simple things that are going to yield the biggest result for your energy and your capacity and your motivation and all the things, so you can take that improvement and create more with it, create more energy, do more for your health. But in the beginning, it is profound what fixing someone's biochemistry will do with little to no effort on their part.
That is so true. And the benefits of my health have been impacted tenfold. We just spoke about the anxiety part, but the medication really, it almost proved to be a litmus test, right? So as my symptoms, my fatigue, the bone tired feeling went away, the constantly feeling drained. As I got more energy, I was more calm. My mind was more clear. The brain fog, it's terrible.
And it goes away so fast.
Yes. Yeah. And they're just fixed. And I think it helped me distinguish between, that's when I really started more reflecting upon, okay, whoa, how much of this is physiological and how much of it is my self-assigned shortcomings? Because we do take that all on. I feel like as women, we're mothers, we're caretakers, we're friends, we're sisters, we're best friends. We love to self-assign things and take responsibility. And some of us are really good at taking responsibility a little too well.
For things that are not our responsibility.
Right. And we're like, if we just suck it up a little more, if we just put our wants and needs on the back end. And that was really the catalyst for me in my journey initially on thyroid treatment, was it inevitably made me start putting myself first, probably for the first time in my life. And I'll just say I'm in my late 40s, so it has been a long time coming. And I started to realize through the thyroid treatment, that putting myself first focusing on these things as symptoms of an endocrine problem and a metabolic issue and a health problem and stop assigning personality to it.
Yeah.
It set me free in a very different way emotionally. It took the weight and the burden off of that. And I feel like that's one of the things I see on your social media a lot in the comment section. Women are carrying this burden of things they have no control. You can't will your thyroid to work.
And you know what? I think, and you'll have to give me your perspective on this, I almost think that it is because medicine has failed them over and over and over and over and over, and they're not able to get fixed. So if they do not take on the responsibility of finding their own solution, no one else will. And so it's almost like they have to carry that burden. And then when they do finally come to Modern Thyroid Clinic, so often I have the conversation of, you don't have to carry this anymore. Like, you can turn this over to me. Let me take this from you, and you just sit back, do the bare minimum at first. Let me manage it. Let me help you. And then we'll circle back and see what you can contribute in later to the building of your long-term health. But it is an intentional shift of responsibility because they have carried it for often decades.
I feel like that carrying that burden of responsibility, and that was definitely my experience when I came to Modern Thyroid Clinic. I was met with talented, knowledgeable, true medical professionals. This is not, they're junk pseudoscience on every corner. If you want to go look for it, you can find it. But that was the most impressive thing to me, is that I was getting true healthcare and from real trained medical professionals, no junk science. And on my own, I looked into, I have a science undergrad, so I'm an analytical girl. I love a good study, but I had researched on my own and found the information you had provided about the lab values and how those are a therapeutic range and they're treatable and you're symptomatic. I had found that, I can't remember the entity, so I won't quote it, but I had found that from an authority in the medical journals from 20 years ago.
Right.
For 20 years. This is not new. You did not discover a new planet. You simply took knowledge that was available and put it into practice. And women are met and dismissed every day.
Every day.
I still think in my mind when I go to the doctor for a new whatever symptom, in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking, how am I going to counteract when I'm dismissed?
Right.
What if they don't believe me?
Right.
What if they don't listen? That was the main key difference when I came to Modern Thyroid. I was not only heard, immediately validated, but I felt like I found a village, because it wasn't just Lori providing my prescriptions and doing my overall treatment plan. It was more than that. The emotional support I received was, I almost cried during that first appointment. I was like,
oh,
what
everyone
is
does.
this?
Half the time I cry with them,
Yes, because I was like, what do you mean? This isn't all in my head, but the bias in medicine is real. We're still fighting that battle every day. And I feel like that is a superpower that we have Modern Thyroid Clinic, that we get to skip all of that. We get to get down to actually treating the real health issues. And I think that is a big hindrance. Women can figure out how to get great healthcare in this country and be attended to in this way and be treated. We are an unstoppable force.
Absolutely.
Look at what we're already doing, feeling the worst we've
Horrible.
ever. I got an entire MBA feeling terrible with Hashimoto's and not a medicine to be found.
Right.
But when I requested, as most women do, I went to my primary care and I said, will you please check my thyroid? This is the only thing that makes sense. Like, I've exhausted every other avenue. And he checked it, and guess what? It fell within the range, the football field size range that they have, which
that's
I
getting
understand
wider every year. In fact,
all the
at this
time.
point.
Over 4, up to
Now
5
it's over
on your
10.
TSH. That's fine.
Now it's over 10.
I tell my friends, if you have a cold, you go to the doctor because you're symptomatic, right? You don't need to have a full virus panel to identify exactly which virus or bacteria you may have. Certainly, if you have a bacteria, you want antibiotics, but they don't run a full they don't identify it, but they'll still treat you. You still get medications, you still get supportive care instructions, you still get directives on what to do. Go to the doctor as a woman in 2024 for your thyroid, and you're told, well, you're in this ball field, so you're fine.
You're
It's
good.
not that.
Come
Please
back
go get on
again.
antidepressants, or it must be your mental health, or your middle age. This is expected. This is normal.
I see that go on from 20s, the excuse of, oh, you're getting
Yes.
older, into, oh, well, now you're in your 30s. Oh, well, now you're pregnant. Now you're breastfeeding. Now you have toddlers. And women come and they're like, well, all my kids are gone off to college now. I've waited this whole time to feel better. I still don't. And I don't have anything left to blame.
Right.
And they've wasted decades of their lives. They
Yes.
haven't. Their clinicians have wasted decades of these people's lives. It's just,
Yes.
it's crazy. But I'm curious. Of course, I want to get into like the whole weight loss thing too, but tell me advice that you have for people who are sitting currently in the shoes that you were in a year ago from a thyroid or a hormone perspective. Any tidbits for them?
Yes, and I feel like I speak about, I'm your unofficial cheerleader out in the world. I just will not stop talking about it with my girlfriends, and I feel like it's so important. So the advice I have for anyone who, if you're suspicious about it, you feel like maybe it's my thyroid, I'm doing all these things. I want to say, I want to empower women. I was going to Orange Theory, then CrossFit in the same day. I was working out all the time, probably exhausting my adrenals. I don't do that anymore. We've given them time to heal. However, I was tracking macros. I was weighing my food. I was eating clean. I was doing everything that I possibly could. No, it wasn't perfect, but it was significant, and nothing helped. And it should help, right? Those are positive, supportive actions in our life. I wasn't sleeping well, all of these things. I would encourage women that just make an appointment, just talk to the clinicians on staff at Modern Thyroid, reach out to you, reach out to anyone on your staff. They're so knowledgeable and they have the answers. They're right there. Everything is just right there. And I feel like it's incredible to look back just a year ago. I feel like a different person, but I would just encourage women to trust your instincts. You know when there's something wrong, and you know when something's not right. And if you can think back to a day that you felt really, really good, and you were full of energy, and you had a good night's sleep, and maybe a life without anxiety, but now it's not that way. There are more than a couple of weeks in there, and you don't have some of the crisis happening, make an appointment. Just go find out, do the labs, get evaluated, and find out, because being within range does not mean that you're not symptomatic. And I feel like that is the most important message that you send every day on all the social media and trying to reach out to people, is we've got to change women's thinking on this, that just because your labs are in the football field of a range and then some, that does not equate no symptoms. And it does not ever mean you're not treatable. But the treatment is transformative.
And I always tell people, so almost every patient, you can probably think back to this yourself, everyone is always terrified. They're going to return for their first appointment with their clinician, and the clinician's going to be like, everything's fine, it's not your thyroid, because that's what they've been told over and over and over, obviously looking at labs in a very different way. But I always tell people, look, if it looks like a duck, it walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, the likelihood that it is a duck is 99.999%. And I mean, our practice is filled with almost exclusively people who have been repeatedly told thyroid is not their problem. And they come, and our success rate is, it's unparalleled in the industry for getting these people their lives back. So there's a gap, right, in that information somewhere. And of everyone that's ever come, I think we've sent away one person and said, you know what, this actually isn't your problem. And it was a 1 out of thousands. We literally returned all of his money. I'm just like, listen, I only want to help you if we can help you.
Right.
We're not in the business of trying to help people that we can't help. There's too many people that we need to be helping in the meantime, right?
Yes.
And that's all such great advice.
I would also add to that an interesting paradox that I've experienced, that those same clinicians who are so happy to tell you your TSH is good, there's nothing wrong. When I go back now armed with the magnitude of just diligent, consistent lab work and great healthcare in my file. I sit in front of those clinicians now and they say, oh, this is wonderful. Oh, MTC is treating your thyroid exactly right. Oh, this is amazing. I don't even have to do anything. And this is literally what my primary care said a few months ago. I don't even need to do anything because they ordered everything that I could ever possibly want for you. And this looks fantastic. So please keep seeing them and please keep doing what you're doing. It's having a very positive impact on your health.
I love that.
But yet, if I'd have went in there, cart before the horse. So if I went in there first,
Please
I would
help me.
100%, I know without a doubt, because it's happened, they would have dismissed it and they would have said, you're fine, you're fine.
Totally.
But now on the other end of it, it is gratifying in a sense, but it's also a little enraging because I'm like,
absolutely.
Why won't you change and listen?
Right. Because you could be in the same position a year later that you were in a year ago had you not picked up your train and put it on a new set of tracks,
And I'm all in support of very pro mental health. Let's reduce the stigma. Let's get rid of that. I'm happy to admit if I've taken medications to help, I have. But this commonly, how many women are unnecessarily on mental health medication and they're going to therapy and they're doing all the things? Because I certainly did. I was going to consistent therapy and thought, and then again, you assign the personal character a failure to it, or at least I do. I'm sure a lot of people do. And then, and that's just
and then you're stuck there forever because you have a biochemical issue that's creating a symptom. And if we don't solve that biochemical issue, we're simply hoping to manage symptoms when a lot of the time you're never really able to. I mean, most people don't know this. I ended up creating Modern Thyroid Clinic from a functional and integrative psychiatric practice that I founded. And I had so many women coming to see me for treatment-resistant depression that I actually figured out was a thyroid problem, that over years, 80% of my new patients in my psychiatric office were coming to see me for thyroid treatment because they had heard what I was doing on thyroid platforms, etc. They took my information, spread it across all kinds of internet platforms. And when my first patient flew in to see me for thyroid from out of state, I was like, oh my God, I'm doing the wrong thing. I'm supposed to be doing thyroid. I'd already had my own thyroid journey. And that's how Modern Thyroid Clinic was born. The burden was so heavy for people being diagnosed with mental health issues that were actually due to a thyroid problem that it created Modern Thyroid Clinic.
And thank God for you. And I'm so grateful. I'm sad that you had to go through such a journey to get here, but I'm so grateful for it. And speaking to that, I think about the parallels of women with hysteria back in the day. What was that? The early 1900s, right? That was a medical diagnosis.
Right.
Hysterical women, or the story of bicycle face, where I don't know if you've heard that before. Go look that one up. That's a doozy. But yeah, because women were flushed and they looked pensive when they were bicycling, but it was freedom for women.
So more men with thyroid problems, we'd probably be solving this issue a lot sooner.
100%. 100%. That is a whole nother soapbox I could get on all day. I will save us all of that speech. But I mean, if anybody wants that speech, I'm down all day for that.
I could dig into that one on a whole other episode.
Yeah. And I also think too, and you're the medical professional, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but the number one silent killer of women in America is heart disease. What is one of the causes of untreated thyroid problem? Oh, heart disease.
Right. If you have a thyroid
I'm not a researcher, but
high risk for heart disease. High risk. When I was going through my own thyroid crisis when I was 27, the doctor tried to put me on a statin for high cholesterol that was actually just literally due to my levothyroxine not working at all for my body. I was 27. He was going to happily put me on Lipitor, but refused to run a full thyroid panel to determine if perhaps my medication wasn't working for my physiology. So absolutely. I mean, cannot be. And that's one piece of the, or two pieces. There are a million impacts to poor thyroid function for our long-term health. And if we want to intervene on a lot of them at once, certainly a potent, powerful way is to actually fix this problem for women that is destroying their health and destroying their quality of life. So could not agree more. I kind of want to transition to the weight loss program topic.
Okay.
I'm kind of excited about this. So this is, and I'm sure you've heard me say this so many times, our weight loss program to me is not about weight loss at all. It is about so many other significantly powerful things in the lives of women that vary from woman to woman. And I feel like the added bonus of this process is weight loss, but it is not the
Right.
main benefit, you know? So I'm curious if you have had, I'd just love to hear about the extra benefits that maybe you didn't expect going into the program that you've experienced along the way that don't have anything to do with weight loss.
Yes, I can definitely talk about that. So the benefits that I've experienced that are weight loss aside, weight loss is great, but one of the main benefits that I experienced pretty much right out of the gate, the reduction of inflammation in my body. That alone was worth everything. Every step it took to get there, that alone will probably keep me on a maintenance plan for a long time because I did not like the thyroid. You don't know what you don't know. And I did not know until that happened what a difference it made just in my day-to-day function, my overall energy level, and just how I felt each day.
Inflammation is such a, like, it's a, people don't expect it. They don't know that it's driving so much symptomology in their lives. A lot of
Right.
people don't know they're even inflamed. And so in the past, I've used things like LDN to decrease inflammation, you know, lifestyle, those sorts of things. And that's all amazing, but it's all a very slow reduction over time. So again, it's
Yeah.
hard for these people to pinpoint the inflammatory reduction of GLP-1s within 24 hours. It is instant. And so people have to see it at that point because it's undeniable, you know?
Right. I felt like I always knew that my Botox and filler was great, but I didn't really know the magnitude of how great until I lost all of the inflammation in my face, even just looking at pictures of myself. I felt like when I looked in the mirror, I said, oh, there you are. I could
Absolutely.
finally start to recognize myself again and what that did for my self-esteem, improved mental health, being able to look in the mirror. And I think we all go through those periods as women and sometimes extensively where we're looking in the mirror and we're going through some things and maybe, you know, we're not having great at that time, but that inflammation, it just changes everything. It just makes you feel crummy day to day, like
Absolutely. And
just
even like,
terrible.
it's funny because even if necessarily people are at the weight or close to the weight they feel comfortable at, if they're inflamed, it feels almost like you're wearing a Michelin Man costume. Like you do not feel like yourself. And people that don't struggle with inflammation, my husband, for example, he's never been inflamed a day in his whole life, but they don't get it. But people that struggle with inflammation, it is a daily thing that they are trying to reconcile. And not only like physically do we feel better, but that reduction in inflammation for our long-term health outcomes is absolutely enormous. And there is nothing that I've ever seen in medicine that compares to a GLP-1 for inflammation. And people relate it to weight loss over and over and over and again. And I'm not sure if you've heard me mention this or if Sally has in the program, but what happens in the studies a lot is they'll look at inflammatory markers, they'll check them before, and then they'll check them 6 months later. And they see those HSCRP markers reduce over 6 or 12 months. Well, I sometimes check them weeks after people start the program before they have lost weight. And those inflammatory markers plummet. They can go from
I believe it.
35, which is high, extremely, like almost 100% chance of heart attack, stroke in the future, to low risk for heart attack and stroke in the future within weeks. Like it's crazy, unreplicatable in any other way.
I would completely believe that. And I also have a secondary condition I'm fine to share about. So I have alpha 1 antitrypsin deficiency. And what that does is I am lung affected. So it affects my ability to maintain oxygen, to be able to breathe correctly. You know, you could think of it as severe asthma or something to that regard. I had been hospitalized twice in 2021 before we knew that I had this. They call it a rare genetic disorder. I don't necessarily believe it's rare. I believe it's underdiagnosed.
Yeah.
So, as does most of the alpha 1 community. So, we're working to advocate for that. But within that, because of my alpha 1, the amount of times that I've been told by doctors, well, you're just going to have inflammation because you have alpha 1. Maybe we could try to get that inflammation down, and then maybe I could breathe better. And I can say just From my own personal anecdotal experience, though, since January, I don't have shortness of breath. I don't experience, and a lot of that too can be the weight loss. But you know what happens with weight loss? You also have a reduction in inflammation. So, it's causation, correlation, all the things all at once. But this has improved my breathing, just my ability to breathe day to day. And I monitor my oxygen saturation all the time. I have it on my Apple Watch, and yes, that is pretty accurate. But I've just noticed an improved trend since starting the GLP-1s, and my husband made a comment just a few weeks ago. He said, I don't see you like deep sighing or taking deep breath, or you don't seem to have those instances anymore. Or if he makes me laugh too hard, which is all the time, constantly, I would have almost like an asthma attack because I would get caught up and I'd have some coughing or some constriction there. And those have all, I can't remember the last time that
That
happened.
is so cool. Like those stories fuel my freaking soul because they're so unique for everyone, but they're not unique at the core. Like it is these medicines. I saw an article come out today that's like GLP-1s actually may be the cure for everything. And I'm like,
I would believe it.
kind of. Like that is where medicine is headed. People are still sadly wrapped up in all of this narrative about, oh my gosh, these side effects. Oh my gosh, people don't stop vomiting. Oh my gosh, cancer. It's like, guys, you are reading the wrong messages here because number one, this medication probably has the lowest side effect profile of any medication I've ever seen. The side effects that are being touted as terrible are actually like pancreatic cancer. Well, that's because of pancreatitis, and that's what you're at risk for if you lose weight. Doesn't matter if you do that with caloric restriction or a GLP-1 or exercise, you are at risk for pancreatitis as you lose stored fat. I do advocate for slow reduction in weight loss, which is why we tailor our programs so tightly for unique needs. But, and the cancer risk, it's like, first of all, thyroid cancer in general, thyroid cancer has been completely disproven in the literature to be a risk at all. It's less risky than insulin, and insulin is not a risk for thyroid cancer. Sure, theoretically, maybe medullary thyroid carcinomas in particular, which is extremely rare and has never shown up in a single human ever, period. So yeah. And then, I mean, it's crazy, the racket, when in reality, these meds are going to change forever. Alzheimer's, autoimmune diseases, cardiovascular stroke risk, which if we should, like you said, be afraid of something, we should be afraid of heart disease. Heart
Right.
disease kills more of us than every darn cancer combined every year. So that is what we need to be afraid of. And if you had told medicine 5 years ago that we could reduce heart disease mortality by 20 to 30%, they would call you a liar.
I feel like there's this narrative probably from the 80s diet culture that's carried over. There's this narrative that says, oh, every woman has had this experience. You go into the doctor, you just need to lose weight. If you just diet and exercise and you just lose weight, just stop eating, just stop. So
it's this
now we
calories in,
have,
calories out mindset still, which
right.
is not real for
Yes.
so many people.
I lift weights. I need more than 1,200 calories to fuel my body. But the amount of, it's like the narrative feels that it went, okay, we need to lose weight. That's what's causing all of your medical problems. And then we say, okay, here's the GLP-1s. This is fantastic. Plus, here's this hoist of other benefits that are positive, and it's impacting positive on cardiovascular disease. I've read so many studies about cardiovascular disease and how it's saved people's lives and it's improved people's life with the GLP-1. And it's almost like they're like, oh yeah, but not like that. That's too simple. That a shot once a week. Oh no, it needs
Reduces
to
fatty
be
liver. No, that's
right.
just too easy. We have to take responsibility and beat the
Right.
crap out of ourselves all day when we try to do it
Mhm.
ourselves and it doesn't work. Because, like you, our practice is filled with women who do eat well and do exercise. And you know what? They're not losing weight because their metabolism is so damaged and
Yes.
disrupted. It doesn't matter what they eat or how much they work out, they are not going to be able to make an impact on their weight nor improve their metabolism, which again needs to be part of this conversation of not only are people losing weight, they are improving their metabolism so that if they do choose to come off of these medications in the future, which most people in our program do, they can maintain their weight with realistic effort, not like over restricting and over exercising.
Yeah, I am met with that statement a lot. Oh, well, you're going to have to take it for the rest of your life. Or, okay.
Right. And the people that
I
get the
mean,
inflammation relief, they're like, sign me up.
I'm like, I'm pushing 50. I'm going to have to take things for the rest of my life anyway. If I can take something that I think LDN helps you also maintain your youthfulness and also the reduction in inflammation, okay, I'll take that. But yeah, there's a lot of misinformation and a lot of misconceptions. And the amount of things that people have said to me when they find out that I'm taking this med, because I'm pretty open about it. You know, I'm not walking up to people, hi, my name is Ainslee. I take semaglutide. No, I'm not. But I try to be open in case people have questions, but the amount of misinformation has been wild.
Polarizing. It's like
Yes.
we are living in this era of health extremism and
Yes.
polarization. And it's a bizarre time. I mean, even and we're not ever having real conversations. We're still talking about these pretend side effects, like when we're also
Right.
talking about a medicine that reduces all mortality. Doesn't matter if you're going to get hit by a beer truck or die of a heart attack. If you are on a GLP-1, your risk of death is reduced by 20%. So like, why aren't people talking about that? Realistically, tell me this was one of the questions that people wanted to know
Sure.
from you. Tell me about your experience with side effects. And then we'll get into the weight loss piece too, because I know people want to know about that. But again, it's always like the byproduct for me of the conversation.
Yeah. And so the side effects for me have been overall minimal, almost right away. I think the first weekend, I started mid-January this year is when I started, like the 12th of January. So just for some context for folks, if they want to figure out how long I've been taking this, and now we're at the end of June. So probably that first weekend, I can remember I wanted a little treat. I just wanted a little bit of ice cream. And so I had my ice cream, but because of my disordered eating, which is a real thing that we encounter a lot of times when we've gone into significant obesity like that, you're usually having
Or
a
when you
disordered
can't
eating.
influence your weight with effort, the
Right.
natural byproduct of that is disordered eating because you're trying to
Yes.
do more and more and more to gain back
Mhm.
control of your failing metabolism. And
Right.
that is the end result.
And I completely agree. And I'd had a little ice cream and I instinctively went, I'm going to have a second bowl, which is not a negative thing at all. But I did not get very many bites in. And I was met with a little wave of nausea. And what I found is that was one of the side effects right out of the gate that I'm not going to be able to overdo it on sugar.
Mhm.
Awesome. I don't need to overdo it on sugar. I
Yeah.
think the recommended daily amount is 25 grams or something to be healthy. And I thought, well, this is going to be easy because I basically Pavloved myself with the medication. I was like conditioned and trained. I don't enjoy a little nausea, although it wasn't debilitating. And I remembered the advice from Sally and within our group, and I just added on extra hydration. I upped my protein. It was very minimal and brief. I remembered that. So I watched myself moving forward to just keep that in mind. I stayed away from the wine for a while. I'm happy to say I can still drink wine. I've done it. I've traveled with my husband to Chicago. We went and saw friends. I was all about some wine when traveling. So those have been very minimal. I would say initially I tried to plan to do my injections on like a Friday evening because that way I know Saturday during the day, the most I'm going to do is go to my sweet sister-in-law's house and lay by her pool and play with my baby niece. And that doesn't require much energy, but I may feel a little fatigued, but it's not comparative to what it was before. So I've had a little
Right.
bit of fatigue, I've had a little constipation, things like that, but they're manageable. And
Right.
usually the answer I have found, increase your water, add your electrolytes, high protein, which you want to be doing anyway.
Right. It is,
So
it's fixable. so
Right,
much with
right,
lifestyle.
right.
Or if that doesn't work, we simply adjust your dosing, right? I mean, this
Yes,
whole idea that people need to be walking around violently ill all the time is a reflection of over medication, that these doses are too high, that standardized GLPs are promoting, and only they are the only options at this point. So yeah, that is a definite byproduct of over medication, when in fact it can be really manageable and tailored to you.
right. And I feel like the manageability of the side effects is really key. That it has not dissuaded me. I do not feel worse to get better. Kind of, it's not a trade-off. And when I say I've had these side effects and these symptoms, they're minimal.
Like scale of one
They're
to 10, what
hardly
is
an
it?
inconvenience in my day.
So a
And
10's like the worst. One is
right, this is maybe a 2.
love it.
At the very worst, maybe it's been a 3, a weird off day where I was probably dehydrated. I probably wasn't eating my protein. And it's taught me a bit about the relationship with myself. And again, going back to putting myself first, it's made me focus on you have to take care of yourself. You have to have self-care. You have to prioritize yourself. That means I'm going to get my water in. I'm going to get my electrolytes. I'm not going to push it to the side. I'm not going to focus on work and not get my liquids in, or I'm not going to, I can go to the pantry and get my protein shake for the day and, increase my protein take. So it's had a good effect in teaching, retraining my mind in a way to have more self-care. And we all need that. All of us collectively, all the women in the world.
Need
Yes.
more self-care. Amen,
Yes.
sister. I could not
Yes.
agree more.
Guilt-free too. So
Guilt free.
that would be great.
That would be great. I'll write that on a prescription for you.
Yes. Thank you.
Tell me, okay, the $1 million question. Tell me about your weight loss, the actual weight loss, right? Like I know we've talked so much about all the other wonderful things, but tell me about it.
Yeah, I would love to tell you about my weight loss. I want to preface this by saying, like, if people are watching this right now and you know me in real life, but maybe you haven't seen me in, I'd say, the last 5 years, I have hid on social media how much weight I gained. I felt so ashamed by it. I was always active and more fit. I'd have some fluctuations in my weight with my life, but not to this degree and this extent by far. Diligently working out, doing all the right things prior to Modern Thyroid Clinic. I had lost maybe about 20 pounds over the course of a couple of years, which sounds great, but is defeating when you are working 9 times as hard and 10 times as hard as you have to be just to gain a little inch forward. So when I got on this, I've lost a total, I believe today was a little over 52 pounds since January. And what caused me to start the weight loss medicine was in January. I was having chest pain. My blood pressure started increasing. I am 110/70 all day for 25 years. And it scared me a little. And that's what prompted me to say, okay, no, no, I lost about another 10 pounds with the thyroid medication. We were so excited. And we got to that point, and I worked with Lori on my treatment plan. We adjusted medications and all of that. And finally, I just said, I think we're there. And she said, I agree. I think this is the key. And according to your labs with your A1C, your CRP, all these things collectively say to me, it is your metabolism. And we need to treat that and we need to fix it. And I am not kidding. The weight, I feel charmed. I feel like I am one in a million and lucky, but I also felt really validated that I was doing all of the things I needed to do. And I already had all those supportive practices. So my heart goes out to when I see other women in our group get discouraged, especially right out of the gate, because a lot of them are having to cultivate all those supportive practices in place and start this journey. So I just,
Simultaneously starting thyroid and weight loss too is like it's a lot,
yes,
and it's slower in the beginning because we have to fix that piece that
right,
largely was part of the
right.
cause they gained so much weight in their poor metabolism.
And I'd had a solid 6 months on thyroid treatment, which I feel like for me that was really key. So we had really had time to kind of have that healing moment, let my thyroid get a break, not be constantly inflamed that whole time. And moving to the weight loss, though, it has just taken off. I don't know if you call it a super responder. I don't know, but it is nothing short of amazing. And I am just a mere mortal. I hit a plateau after the 16 weeks. So I did the full 16-week course, and then I hit a little plateau. But because of the knowledge shared in our group and within the clinic, and so many resources that you provide to your patients, is incredible. It's like a wealth of encyclopedia of knowledge. And then the access. You cannot find another clinic where you could reach somebody or text them or just send a quick message and have such a responsive team. But yeah, I hit a little plateau. I didn't even hardly think about it because I had had so much education, true education. And I just thought, oh, no, this is normal. This is expected. This is not real. I'm just going to sail right on through. And maybe in a couple of weeks, we'll kind of see where it's at. And if it's a problem, then we'll look at that. We'll look at the dosing. Because again, if I just needed to increase, I could do that. If I need to take a full break, I could do that. There's so much flexibility with this medicine. You're not locked in. And, it's not like the diet, quote unquote, meds of the past, of the early mid to 90s, where you're not like just jacked up on drugs all the time and running around. Like I am completely feel myself. I don't feel any alteration to my personality day to day. It doesn't affect me in that way. That is the greatest thing. I mean, so many of those other, things that we've all tried in the past, they make you really jittery or just make you crazy.
And they're like compromising your health short term for a hopeful long-term gain.
Right.
Like you're unhealthier, trying to get healthier, you increase heart risk to try to reduce it. And this is the opposite. And kind of circling back to what you were mentioning, I think what people don't understand, and part of I think the negative dialogue around these medications are people are joining programs where they don't have support, where it's not tailored to them, where they don't have resources, where they don't literally in our program you can connect with our person. I mean, you have a private email, but every darn week we have an opportunity to get together, to ask questions, to troubleshoot, to do whatever needs to be done. When that isn't happening is where bad things happen, where people are really sick, where they are losing too much weight too fast, or they aren't losing weight because no one is there to support them, to troubleshoot, to adjust, to tailor it precisely to them in a personalized manner. And I feel proud of the program we've built because of that. And it's so valuable to me to hear you tell me back, hey, listen, these things impacted my journey, because that ultimately is what we are striving for and where I think our program is light years ahead of literally any other one I've ever seen. Like I've never seen a program that has so much support, that is so tailored to each person. And I love that we are still like hitting that nail on the head.
Yes, I fully agree. I feel like it is a personalized and tailored experience at Modern Thyroid Clinic, just all the way around. It doesn't matter if you're a thyroid patient, doesn't matter if you're a weight loss patient, or if you're both. I still feel such personability. And I feel like every person that I encounter from billing to appointment setting to prescription, anyone I encounter, they care. And I won't name and shame and go into too much detail, protect identity, but I have a very dear friend of mine that tried to replicate this at a place on the corner, and it put her in a really horrible position. The style of treatment, the lack of monitoring, the lack of knowledge. They are putting her on medications and administering these things, and her hair's falling out. She was just completely depressed. It affected her mental health. She was having a horrible reaction to these things. And my question is, do you know what's in those meds? Do we even know the integrity? That is another thing that because I believe and I trust in you, and I just do. I don't know how else to explain it, but I know that you are someone as a clinician, as a healthcare provider that I trust. If McCall says, get the med, this label from this pharmacy, I have scoped it out. I have read every fine detail. I know you have done that research and I can just trust it. And that is a piece, the trust that I have with you, with your staff, with everyone there, that is priceless. And that is something that's missing greatly in just general healthcare in America across the board. We have a trust issue because we're told something and we don't know how to quantify that. We don't know how to validate that. We don't. So yeah, when you tell me, go to this pharmacy, buy this, this is the way we're doing this. I know there was probably late night hours of McCall going through studies, reading all the pharmacology,
So
looking at
many
all the,
hours.
doing all the organic chemistry on the side, making sure it all matched. I know that you've done that.
Yeah.
And so I assign a lot of positivity to the research you did, but I have no doubt. And I feel like this is the thing that translates the most as a patient at your clinic is that it's personal to you. It's always personal to the patient, but we really truly feel like it's personal to you. And that is something I work in healthcare tech, and that is something they would pay a pretty penny to put lightning in a bottle and to be able to capture that. And that's something that is just foundational to Modern Thyroid Clinic. And I'm never leaving. I'm
I
staying.
love it. We'll keep
I'm a
you
lifer.
forever.
Yes, keep me forever. Yeah, and just the transformation, the personal experience. I've never spent money on my healthcare in such a way that I received such a personal, curated experience. It's more, I've had concierge medicine experience.
Yeah.
I've had that before. I have a great friend that is in concierge medicine in Dallas, internal medicine. He's amazing diagnostician. However, this feels even more than that. It's just so personable. And I think, that's the unique difference is patients need to know that if they come to Modern Thyroid Clinic, they do the thyroid treatment, they're going to get that personability. You do the weight loss group. McCall is in our Facebook group, not just as a figurehead, not just liking a post. She's in there giving you advice, checking on you. You're in the
Cheering you on.
mix.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't just have a moderator in Sally. She's a
Sally
whole
is a
encyclopedia
force.
and internet of her own. She
She's
is
incredible.
prolific. Yes, yes. And the amount of support found in there, when I need an uplift, I just go in there. I just go in there
Right.
and just read the warm fuzzies. Like it's women supporting women. It's a positive thing. It's evidence-based information. No
And that's, I
pseudoscience
mean,
science here.
from the top down, that's what I want to cultivate for people, and it's even like the reason we hire people who have a thyroid problem. We want really everyone that people encounter to be understood and empathetically seen, because that is the biggest thing that is lacking in medicines now is just empathy and connectivity and relating on a human to human level. I love that. Well, there was one other thing I'm going to read from my little notes here. When I asked you what you felt most passionately about to talk about, and it can be thyroid or the weight loss program, you replied, and I quote, "I feel really passionately about how we, mainly women, assign our physical symptoms as a character failure." And you've touched on this a couple times during this
Yeah.
conversation, but I wanted to give you a little platform to just tie it up with a nice little bow and share with me how that's impacted your life, thoughts about it, or things that you want to convey to other women that are honestly doing the same thing.
Yeah, I feel like it's so important, and I see it across the board as far as assigning character failure to personal physical symptoms. I see it all the time across the board. I see it with all my girlfriends. They're like, I get questions all the time. Do you think this could be my thyroid, or is this just me? No, I don't think that they assign lazy. That's a word that's no longer permitted in our home. We say restful. And so I feel like there's so much within women today that we are beating ourselves up before we even get out of bed. And then we are carrying through the day, and the inner critic is just ramping on us. And society's partly to blame. but we're very logical. There seems to be no other answer. It must be me.
Right.
It must be my
My doctor's
failing.
telling me it's me. It's got to be
Right,
me.
right. It's all in your head, or you just need to lose weight, or whatever. We're just being gaslit everywhere we turn. And we just go, yeah, it's probably me. And I just think of there's got to be women out there right now today that woke up today and they're putting on a brave front. I mean, these are not women cowered in a corner.
They are
These are powerful,
pushing.
passionate women that are raising their children, going into workplace every day, who are accomplishing magnanimous things in life. And inside their head, they're sitting alone and they're like, you're stupid. You're lazy. You just didn't do enough. You always do this. That inner critic will eat you alive. And I feel like this is not just transforming on a of course it is on a physiological level, but this is a transformation, benefit to mental health. The women on the brink of suicidal ideation who are battling that every day, I'm not saying that they don't need the mental health help. They sure do. But this is such a contributing factor across the board with our thyroid problems, with our weight problems. It's like, how many mental health problems would you actually have at the end of the day if your thyroid was treated and corrected and managed? If you didn't have extreme obesity, the enormous amount of problems that come with that, your clothes don't fit, you feel bad, your self-esteem, it's systemic throughout your identity, right? It is an attack on your actual identity. And my heart breaks thinking, because I've been there, assigned all those things to
Me too.
myself, but my heart just breaks to think that it is 2024 and all we know about mental health and empowerment and girlhood and all these things. And there is still going to be, at the end of the day, some woman who is magnificent creature in the world, and she's not feeling her potential and she's not relishing in her successes. And it could change the world. I mean, true empowerment of women is please stop gaslighting us in medicine.
I view my work as like generational. I really do. And I mean, not to over dramatize it, but if you change the
No.
lives of women, you change their marriages, you save their marriages, you change the lives of their relationship with their
Yeah.
kids, then their relationship with their kids. Like, I really think the healing of so much of our country and the world starts with women. So I could not agree more.
I absolutely agree with you. My kids definitely have a different mom than they did
Yeah,
a year ago.
right.
But my sweet teenage son said that he would describe me as fierce. And so when a teenager tells you that, you know it's true.
Right.
I'm going to hold on to that forever.
Yeah.
But I don't know that he would have described me that way 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I certainly wasn't living my best life in that capacity.
Yeah.
So yeah, I completely agree with you.
Well, this has been amazing. I
So fun.
feel like I got to hang out with a friend and have coffee for the last hour. Thank you so much for
You're so
taking your
welcome.
journey, being open to share it with people because it can really, truly change lives, generations of people because of your willingness to be open and vulnerable. So, thank you so much for being here today. I'm absolutely honored to be part of your journey.
Well, thank you for inviting me. It's been an honor. It is truly my pleasure. I'm so excited to do this and to talk to you. You know, I'm all over social media all day, all the time, in the comment section and things, trying to hype up MTC. But truly, this is a gift to the world, and that's something I say in my day-to-day life. That good mental health is maintaining your own good mental health is your gift to the world. Well, you're helping thousands of people every day, improve their overall health, improve their mental health. And that is truly a gift to the world. And I'm just so proud to be affiliated with the clinic and be a patient there. And I'm so excited to see what next year holds.
I know. Me too. I'm so excited. Well, thank you so much. And I can't wait to see what the next year holds for you, my friend.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
I love it. I love this. This was amazing. You did so freaking fantastic. I don't know if
Oh,
you do
good.
this a lot, but you did amazing.
Okay, good. Good, good, good.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me. Oh, it was nice.
I
It's nice to be. I could rant all day
oh,
about
me
how all
too,
the good
sister.
things and all the amazing experiences. And I truly mean it. I am very, very heartfelt and genuine about my passion for Modern Thyroid Clinic. All the things I say, I really mean that.
I love
And
it. I'm so
seeing your
grateful.
TikTok a year ago it changed my life, McCall. And if you ever question, what am I doing on social media? Why am I on there? If you ever have any self-doubt, just know that it was a TikTok that I saw that you presented information and I went, hold on, that sounds like medicine and science. And I went and I looked, and the first thing I did was check to make sure you weren't a chiropractor. And the second thing I did was make sure it wasn't a med spa, and it was not. And I was like, okay,
Who's
you have my
this?
attention. Yes. Yes. And that's when I started digging in a little more and I started sending messages to the team. And I was like, tell me more. Like, what is this? Because I don't want to, I don't want any of the pseudoscience or the junk science or whatever they're doing on every corner. I mean, I wanted to be really careful and it's an investment. And I
Yeah.
wanted to make sure that I was being a good steward of my hard-earned money.
Yeah.
And no doubt,
And
no
how's
doubt,
that
never looked back.
productivity looking now? That's what I always
Yeah.
tell people. I'm like, every dollar you invest here, you'll get back 1,000-fold.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know people with price. Like I said to you in the email, if you priced out therapy and antidepressant
Right.
treatment and then what it cost you in your quality of life,
Right.
the ROI is there.
Is high.
Yeah. And to me, I truly feel like you're affordable. I paid a whole lot more for a whole
Right.
lot less of medicine.
Right.
Every time, people write a big fat check for their deductible or
Right.
ungodly price medication, or
Right.
that may not work, or the
Right.
symptom side effects may be worse than their actual
Or
condition.
just copays over years trying to
Yes.
see crappy doctors. You know what I mean? It's like you can do all that, waste all your time. The sad thing is so many people wait years before they come. And then, always they
It's
say, I wish that I did this years ago.
Yeah, and the price tag on it is not as high as people think. I
No.
plan for this is completely you're able to budget. You know exactly. It's
Yeah.
no gotcha. I don't
Right.
feel tricked. It's not you get in there and it's like, okay, well, it's 300 a day, but also
It's going to be $700 for testing. And yeah. Yeah.
right, right. Yeah. And then my labs are done through my insurance
Right.
and my
Totally.
prescriptions, semaglutide aside, but no, it's worth it. I
Yeah.
mean, honestly, the cost savings in groceries, the
Right.
reduction of appetite alone,
Right. The reduction
could
in
be a
buying
factor.
Starbucks to get you through every day.
Yeah. So the capital versus variable expense trade is there.
I
It
love
is a
it.
great investment. Great investment. I
I
agree.
love it. Well, I will totally keep you posted. I'm going to have Joy reach out to you because I really want to gift you a vial because I just am so freaking thankful for this
Thank you so much.
conversation. I'm toying with the idea too of like having some people do a video testimonial literally on their iPhone for like 30
Okay.
seconds, 90 seconds, whatever. If you're open to do that, I can send you information about that too. I'd love that because you would just
Yeah.
freaking rock it. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions. I'm accumulating podcasts so I don't get
Okay.
stressed about producing one a week every week. But I'll of course let you know as we get prepared to share it and I'll keep you posted.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you so
Email me if
much.
you have any questions or anything, but it was an absolute pleasure to meet you. You inspiring, amazing woman.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being you, and thank you for changing my life.
So darn welcome. Thanks for
That's
making the move.
that feels like it falls so flat, but you are exalted in this household. My whole family, extended family too, knows McCall. And they know that mother-in-law is a retired nurse. My husband is a nurse. And in our household, if I just say thyroid doctor, because it's
Yeah.
just easier for
Yeah.
folks, right? But if I say my thyroid doctor, my mother-in-law goes, oh, well, she's really smart. She knows exactly.
I love
Yeah.
it.
If your thyroid provider did it, yeah.
It's done.
Whatever
Consider
she
it done.
says. Yeah. So you're basically, yeah, you're a medical god in this house. So
Oh, I mean, I'll take it. I'll take
right?
it.
Right? Yeah. But it's kind of become like a source where I can cite things and then
Right.
I can say, but McCall said, and then my mother-in-law will go, well, if she said it, then
Oh
then
my
it
God, that
is.
is so
Yeah.
cute.
It's so
I love
funny.
it.
It's so funny. You're my own PubMed.
I love it.
All
Well,
right. Well,
tell the
thank you
fam
so
I
much.
said hi. I hope y'all enjoy your weekend, get some downtime, and Thank you
Yeah.
again.
Thank you. You too. Enjoy your 4th and have a great weekend too.
You too.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.